Hello again, and a quick video of where I am, and I thought I would show you my watch face. And today it's just a simple hour in the background, and yeah, it looks very good. I'm actually back in Cord, and it's very chilly today and a little bit rainy, but now onto the video. So hello. And today I thought I would tackle the subject title of small medium enterprises, and I thought I would chat generally at first in this video, and to see how far we get. But I receive reports from the World Economic Forum. And I read one just the other day that that indicated, well, actually, its findings are that small medium enterprises make up 90% of businesses globally, which is very interesting. And from those businesses globally, they provide 70% of the global employed workforce, and this in turn provides approximately 90% of global domestic product. So because most of my work experience has been with small businesses, reading this was very refreshing. I knew the numbers were somewhere like that, but when I saw 90%, I did look at it again a few times, and I thought it is coming from the World Economic Forum, so they probably have a good take on this, and actually I can believe it. So just to reiterate, so globally, all employment is within a small medium enterprise, and all these small medium enterprises create 70% of all world employment. And this 70% of all world employment creates 90% of the world's gross domestic product, which means value created, things bought and sold. So these numbers are really quite interesting. And even though I have thought about it in the past, more of an academic thought, reading this report yesterday, actually, I thought, wow, how interesting. But then we have to define what is a small medium enterprise, and for some people it's a business below 50, and for other people they can actually view a business that has 300 employees as a small medium enterprise. But I think in general what we're talking about is a business that doesn't employ thousands of people. So, anything from your corner shop all the way up to, a large business, but not something you would consider big. So it is very interesting. And many times I end up in conversations about, Stephen, what will the future look like? How will technology be further integrated into our lifestyles, into our working environment, into the manufacturing processes? And I think that question comes with it an implied general understanding anyway, because we can very quickly say to each other, yes, technology is a thing that does impact society. I can go back to university. I do remember being in a lecture when I was a wee young lad, and somebody said, a lecturer, some clever chap, said that technology has a direct relationship to reducing labour-intensive work. And I thought, wow, that is interesting, because with that premise, and you could probably collect the data to support it, you can draw a vector. And on that vector, you can then form assumptions and you can predict outcomes. Taking it to its extreme, and this is where I find science fiction very interesting, because where in a lot of films they've indicated that we have robots and everything is artificial intelligence and voice activated, and even manufacturing capabilities are automated by robots. Because the reason I find it so interesting is because if you take this thought process and this direction of thought to its conclusion, that is plausible. That view of the future, it really is plausible. Now, of course, who originally makes the robots? Because robots can't really make robots. They can certainly make parts of robots, but what we are today on planet Earth, we are nowhere near the robots taking over, so don't worry about that. But if we extrapolate where we think we are going, yes, you can arrive at the conclusion that, in the future, some of our popular sci-fi movies, they are on the right tracks, but we don't have it today. Anyway, so most of the time when people ask me these questions, they want me to offer something tangible, believable and real. Again, being a business consultant, what people, what they hope is that I'm accurate. They hope that if I have an opinion, what they really want is they want me to be right. And that's quite a burden, because often making predictions and then supporting that prediction and then be sure about it yourself, it is hard, because we know things change and no one's perfect, and there are always many factors to an outcome or decision making, so it's never easy. But anyway, back to the interesting thing is, people often want to know, what the future is going to look like, or they want to know what machinery should they be looking at. Computer-controlled machines, they're called CNCs, or other computer-operated machinery. What high-tech machinery should they be looking at? What materials technology should be looking at? Actually, I've just said materials technology. That's a big one. Many times I've been asked about carbon composite materials and, what do I know about them? And, material science is very, very interesting. And today, that's accelerating at some pace also. Right now, you'll find that in any cutting-edge technology business, at the R&D side of things, research and development, it's always very expensive because scientists have to try things many times. They have to test theories, and also when they actually create new alloys and new materials, often there is a similar material that really is much cheaper, and often, even though the material's fantastic and is really good, its commercial application might not be that obvious at first. So yes. So I suppose when I'm asked this question, what will the future look like? Where are we going in the future with respect to technology? It's a very tricky question to answer. Number one, I'm always worried about being wrong. And number two, I'm trying to deliver the information that the person really wants from me. It's normally because they want to invest in something, so they're wanting to commit capital to a purchase, and they want me to demonstrate that, or offer them an explanation why they should invest that money, and will they get their money back? Will it be a good investment? And it is much harder than you realise. Often because I'm not I can't predict the future. But what we can do is we can look at what we have today. We can take a view from modern recent history. We can take a view from very recent history, and we can look at trends, we can look at marketing trends, and you can normally formulate an opinion that way. And also, what I've done many times is I've looked at what companies are currently manufacturing, and if I've been able to, I've looked at what they are currently developing, because what a company that's well funded is spending all this money on in R&D tends to be what is going to end up in the marketplace. Not always, but it's like it's a way of testing your thought or your assumptions, and sometimes it does work. Actually, that leads me on to a story, and maybe I should talk about it now. In fact, I think I will. Okay, so the iPhone, the very first iPhone, and it was actually available to the public in 2007. Was it 2007 or was it 2009? Oh, gosh, if I've got it wrong, it was 2009, and I'm saying 2007. Anyway. At that time, the Nokia really held the marketplace, so everyone owned a Nokia phone, and I was aware that Apple were they committed an awful lot of resource and money to developing this touch screen. And this touchscreen had been reduced smaller, and they were making a phone. And at the time, I thought, wow, this is going to be very interesting. I'm not sure they can do it. The bit that I thought might not work was the lack of buttons, the fact that there was no feeling, there was no feedback on the individual, on the person interacting with the device. And so that was my only reservation, was that it was buttonless. And I remembered having, these fun conversations with people about there being no buttons. But I thought, Apple is a company that will have really thought about this, and Steve Jobs then would have thought, this can work, let's go for it. And I understood that they really were, they were putting all their chips on one colour, and they were sure it was going to work. And the fact that it was just a single offering, one new phone, and it had this flat screen, made me think, actually, this is going to be the future. Although I was still hesitant to 100% commit myself, because the lack of buttons was my own personal thought about this, and I thought it was interesting. But anyway, around that time, so this is about 2007. If it wasn't, it was 2009. But and I just off the top of my head don't remember the date, but I remembered meeting a product development chap from Nokia. He was in London, and I can't remember exactly why I was meeting him. I was probably performing my own business development or research, and I met the guy, and his job title, intrigued me, and I thought, I'm going to meet the chap. And I, we had a coffee, and I mentioned to him, what do you think about Apple's new buttonless phone? And I remember he looked at me and said, I've heard about it, but I'm not sure if it is real. I'm not sure they are going to enter the phone space with this buttonless design. And then he said, but even if they do, Nokia's the market leader, and they won't be able to touch us. We've got it right. And I remember thinking, wow, that's a very confident statement, which is fine. But I thought, have you really got it right? Because at that time, I remembered thinking, there are so many models to choose from. And I don't know if you remember, but back then you had to choose which cell service you were going to use. And I remember there was a different frequency range for America, for North America, and it was different to Europe. And so not only did you have this technical difference that was always a factor, but you had all the different models, and so they were price differentiated. So there was, the more expensive ones were perhaps a little bit better, but basically they were all sort of similar. The main difference I seem to remember was just the design, the aesthetic. They had some more square-shaped ones, more long-shaped ones. But the point is, they had many, many different phones, that varied in price greatly. And which in one view was good, actually, because if you were into technology, you were into your phone, you had a plenty of choice. So that was very good. And the phones did work, and I remembered the battery life was days and days. And I used to like Nokia phones very much, and I liked the buttons. So this is what I was holding on to. But what I found interesting was that his commitment to this opinion that he had, that Nokia was that Apple did not, they were no threat to Nokia. Nokia were the market leader and they could not be touched. And I remember I specifically said to him, but what about your product range, your vast product range? There are so many models. Surely streamlining the technical architecture so that one phone would do all world regions, might be an idea, a way forward. And surely less options, because I think I had counted that they had 18 models at one point, 18 different handsets, and then they had color variations. And I remember saying, but don't you think you've got too many options? Because there are costs associated to bringing so many variations to the marketplace. Surely Nokia would be thinking about reducing the number of handsets available at any point in time, and maybe expanding the color variation, so creating product differential that way. And I remember he said, no, we've got it right. We're very clever at Nokia. We've thought about this. We are delivering exactly what the marketplace wants. And I thought, fair enough. But at the time, I thought to myself, a statement like that, an arrogant statement like that, normally tells me that it doesn't work, believe it or not, because when I've met businesses that are very cautious, and even though they're very good, they turn around and say, gosh, we're not sure ourselves, we're doing our best. That always makes me think more of them, because it's more of a realistic statement. But when this representative of Nokia said what he said, I thought, that sounds like I'm trying to think of the phrase that, when you big something up and, it creates a fall. I can't think of the phrase. Anyway, that's what happened in that meeting, and I thought this is very, very interesting. This chap definitely sees this potential new handset coming onto the marketplace as nothing of consequence whatsoever, and it presented no threat whatsoever to Nokia. So there you go, a bit of work experience there. But as we know, and to get back to this video title, small, medium enterprises and the future of working, the future of technology, how things will look in the future. So the iPhone Nokia example I've just given there was an illustration of how two people, in the industry, two informed professional people in the industry, chatting about what is going to happen short term in the telecoms industry, and neither of us were 100% accurate. I was possibly a little more accurate than him in that I had said, is it a problem? Could it be a problem? And should you have less models? So I suppose that bit was accurate. But he was, to a large degree, inaccurate, because he saw this as no competition whatsoever. And also his reliance upon the brand name, and he generally thought, whatever anyone does, it doesn't matter. Nokia rule the world here. And so that's what made me think, we could have problems there. But you can see here, this was a professional business interaction where the pair of us, well, really it was me, trying to establish the short-term future. What new products were coming to market and what was going to be the future. And I do remember the iPhone came out, it was in my hand, and I thought, this is cool, but I'm still missing buttons. but I really did like the handset, and I thought to myself, wow, I'm going to reserve judgment, but I like it myself. I have one, and and I thought, that this is so different. Potentially, this object, this new iPhone, it could become your television set. It could be the thing that is your notepad, and it could be, I suppose, made into a camera. And I remember thinking that, but to be honest, at that time, Nokia had already started putting cameras in their phones. Obviously, research and development departments, they do see what's going on, and they do take inspiration from each other. But you can see, it's very interesting. Anyway, I'm going on a little bit. I do apologise. So I'm going to try and head to some points now about the future. And actually, I'll go back to the World Economic Forum's points. And that globally, small medium enterprises make up 90% of the world's GDP, and they're responsible for employing 70% of employment globally. So what that says is, I suppose you could take a view that the future is small businesses. But then straight away you think of a national health service, or you think of a banking conglomerate, or you think of the oil industry. These can't be small medium enterprises. You need thousands of administration people alone. So it depends how we want to view this. And also, I was thinking to myself, banks, investment banks, retail banks, these are large organisations actually. They're not small, medium enterprises. And I was just thinking to myself, the money that these guys are responsible for claiming, if that's part of the 30%, the other side of the 70%, I don't know. So once again, subject matter like this that is very complex. You have to break it up into chunks sometimes to sort of understand it and get a framework around it so that you can discuss it. But anyway, let's get back to my points. Sorry. So this report from the World Economic Forum indicates we should really relish, support, and promote small medium enterprises, because that's the way things seem to work. Lots of flexibility, lots of interest. It seems to work. It actually provides 90% of the world's employment and creates 70% of the gross domestic product, 70% of the money circulating. That's a big chunk. So the general point is small medium enterprises. I'm chilly. It's freezing, and I'm not able to talk. So small medium enterprises are they're very good, and we need to further look at them, support them, put some economic policy drivers around them, and go into this future. For some reason, I just thought then of the two pandemic-related phrases, the Great Reset and Build Back Better. That is probably another video, but I quite like, on the face of it, the term the Great Reset, because my own personal opinion is that we perhaps do need to change quite a bit in our attitude towards work and the planet and climate change, and I have made another video talking about that. And the Build Back Better, I mean, that is a catchy slogan that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, the pandemic's been a big thing, and we are adjusting to that, and things do need to be built back better, I suppose. But there are some negatives attached to these phrases. But anyway, this video is not about that. So if I go back again to often the question asked of me, Stephen, tell us what the future is going to look like. Tell us what technology we are going to be more purchasing, we're going to be more seeking, that's going to be more in our lives. And it's a tricky one, and I always have to answer it in context. And so today I'm trying to get to the conclusion, and I'm trying to make an interesting point. So the conclusion is this: small, medium enterprises are the way forward. That's my opinion. And the nature of the business determines often, how big that business is. So, of course, something like an oil company or a bank or a national health service, they can't be small, medium enterprises. Actually, what they can do is they can employ small businesses. They can contract services from small, medium enterprises. And so this is a good thing. But of course there are going to be industries that are large by their very nature. So we're going to discount those. But on the whole, small, medium enterprises seem to be the future of employment for most people. There you go. I've summarized. And in today, I'm going to offer what I believe is going to be real, a technology-related thing that we're going to see more of, and is going to be real. Well, it's real already, but it's going to become more real, and that is voice recognition software connected to, and I have to put a caveat around the word artificial intelligence, because today most people, when they say artificial intelligence, what they're really talking about is machine learning. But what we are going to see more of is improvements around voice recognition. So in the near future, I really do expect that we will be actually using buttons even less. We'll be tapping our screens even less, and a lot of our commands are really going to be voice commands. So we're going to be looking at our phone, and we're going to be saying things like open notepad, start a note. Note number 1, I should brush my teeth today before I go. Now the thing is, we can do that now, but you have to probably press a couple of buttons, and the voice recognition will probably make a number of mistakes, and it would be clunky. And you would tap the screen and correct a few things, and eventually you would just give up. But what is going to happen very soon, you won't have to do that. You will simply look at your phone, offer an initiation word, and then talk at your phone, and it is very clearly going to understand everything you said. It will even pick out sub meanings, and so if it thinks you're talking about something else or you're being funny, it might actually say to you, just to double check, are you being funny about this, or do you want me to really do that? But again, it's going to it will all be voice enabled. So as you walk out of your house and you're walking up to your Tesla or your super duper electric car of another brand, as you're walking up to that car, or even when you get out of bed in the morning, you will say, hey phone, switch on the heating in my Tesla. I would like it at 18 degrees centigrade by 9:45. Thank you. And that's it. You won't need to repeat yourself. The car outside is going to switch on its heated seats, and it will have identified you said 9:45, so it will work out when it needs to switch on the heating, and sure enough, at 9:45, the 18 degree will be what it is as you step into that car. Now, some people might claim, Stephen, we can do that today. And yes, you can do that today, but you have to press an awful lot of buttons. There's some configuration required and some fiddling about. What I'm talking about is in one take, you will be talking to your phone or to a smart speaker, and it really is going to understand what you've said. And it will verbally tell you what it doesn't understand and then ask you to correct, but it will be all done verbally. Now also, this will all probably end up on a wearable device like a watch, like a smartwatch. At the moment I'm wearing an Apple Watch, and what this thing can do is, it really is quite remarkable. It is remarkable, but it is going to get better. So today, one of the things I am happy to reveal or to commit myself to, now I've said that, I've probably really set myself up to be wrong here. But what I'm sure about is that voice-enabled devices, voice activation, interacting verbally with our technology is going to get much, much better. And days of tapping on the screen and pressing buttons, we will still have buttons, but we are all going to be pressing buttons much less. It'll be hand gestures. That's for another video actually, and holograms and virtual reality. That's another video. But today, voice recognition, voice activation, and voice-enabled devices. This is going to get much, much better. We're all going to be tapping less on our devices. So there you go. So that's the a comment about what's good, what's interesting, and the other point I made was, because I like to offer something positive, is that we should be all respecting and encouraging and in support of small medium enterprises, because they actually employ most people on earth today. And I hope I haven't driven people crazy. I hope I haven't been too boring. And I hope there's some value in what I've said. I do hope these videos will get better. But than that, I hope you're very well, and I hope you have a good day. And bye for now.